Well, the Giants guys are back. John Fennelly here, and Craig Santucci is out there. Craig, how are you?
I'm back. I got my seat back with the Giants guys. I did not relinquish my seat, and good thing because we've got some Sterling Shepard news. As soon as I plugged in the microphone, boom, we got some Shep news.
Yeah, it's very interesting because we were talking about the Giants maybe looking to trade him to New England or maybe straight up for Josh Rosen because unless they were going to extend him, which they ended up doing, he's going to play the year on the last year of his contract and maybe walk.
Yeah,
that's not going to happen now.
And that was definitely something you and I were you were definitely thinking that was happening, and I think my feelings were hurt because I really liked the player and still do, and I'm excited for him. And I mean, listen, I tweeted something out about it, like great receiver, still has a high ceiling, but part of this deal is because the guy's a tenacious downfield blocker, and you don't find that in every receiver.
He plays the whole position. That's what we like about him. He blocks in the running game. He's not a big kid at all, but he blocks well, and he's a team player, doesn't rock the boat. They love those guys who don't rock the boat. We know that.
Yep.
And now he's a family man. So.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
What, you married?
Yeah, and he's very well liked, and I think the team said, you know what, let's extend him. Plus, it makes good business sense and it makes good football sense. The guy's a good ball player. Look at the teams that wanted him. New England. Yeah. New England wants him. New England wants you. You got something.
Yeah, and if you look at what he's done 3 years in a row, every year he has increased his yards and his overall yards per catch.
Yes.
I mean, that's not an easy thing to do when you got an Odell Beckham and a Saquon Barkley on the team. So
Beckham is remember we went through the targets? He had 50% more targets than anybody else on the team. He's a target hog. Now they'll spread the ball around more, and Shepard will be the recipient of a lot of that.
Yeah, and you'll find, and because I know there was a lot of talk about, how is this going to work two slot receivers, and I think we talked about it last week or the week before. I really think Tate's going to play outside. Not saying that Shepard won't play outside, but I really see these guys going about, possession receivers, downfield blocking, great running back out of the backfield, and maybe they won't rip the top of the defense off with blazing speed, but I think it's going to be about route running and finding those pockets.
And the other thing is that nobody's going to be slotted, for the lack of another word, into a certain position. So the defense can't really prepare for a slot receiver or an outside guy. They'll be swapping back and forth.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing, too. That's what I like about Pat Shurmur. He's very flexible. I mean, he's not the most assertive guy in the world, which kind of I question sometimes. Maybe he's not as tough on the players or doesn't stress discipline enough, but he does have some great ideas. I think he's a very good tactician. And let's see how he works with these guys. Now, the thing about this news, and I don't know if you noticed who broke this story, it was Mike Garafolo. Did you see that?
I did, but that didn't surprise me. I mean, Mike's been tied to the Giants for a decade.
Yeah, but he was the only one who had it. The beat guys didn't have it at all.
So what are you saying?
I'm saying that the Giants are kind of like excluding the beat writers on some of these stories, some of these headlines, some of this breaking news. I guess because they don't like what they're reading.
I love that you brought it up, and I love that take.
I don't know if Mr. Pat Hanlon had anything to do with it. Maybe the ownership has something to do with it because they just gave it to Mike, who used to be a Giants beat writer for the Newark Star Ledger.
Yep,
and now he works for NFL, yeah.
And around forever.
Yes.
What
do you think of that?
I'm just thinking about, man, that's a really good point, John. I mean, normally, everybody's breaking the story at the same time or, well, what do you think about I mean, I'm fascinated because I really think that's an interesting topic because I think the Giants might have gotten burned with that one reporter that was basically breaking all the bad OBJ news. What was her name?
Josina Anderson. Well, she works for ESPN, but Pat Leonard of the Daily News and Jordan Renan. I mean, these guys, they're like a step above clickbait artists, and yeah, that's not good. I don't think the team likes that.
Well, I'm kind of just following what you were saying. I think that, the Giants wanted to kind of rein in what information is out there, and they wanted to steer the ship in a certain way. And I think that the most safe guy, and a guy who the franchise likes, I mean, like you said, Mike's been around for a decade.
Yeah, we used to work at SNY. He and I did some things together years ago.
Yeah, and he's a Philly guy or a South Jersey guy, so I bump into him once in a blue moon. He's a good guy. He's knowledgeable. He's funny, and I like his work. And I think you just have a great point. Like maybe this is what they're going to try to push. Like, hey, we're going to try to get out the information in a controlled way. So some of these firestorms about lockers being cleared out or white powder or all this other stuff that happens, the boat. Maybe this is their way of controlling the information a little bit and not having a firestorm all the time. So it's a great point for you.
Yeah, somebody brought that up to me. I think one of the guys at GiantsWire, USA Today, saying, "How come Garofalo's breaking this story and not the beat writers?" And my answer was exactly what you just said. They're looking to control the message now because some of these guys are taking every little frown, every little raise of the eyebrow and running with it and drawing conclusions. And they're tired of it. So good for them. Good for them.
I mean, you're not going to be able to keep it down all the time, but at least in a post-OBJ world, you're trying to just get some positive vibes because there's a lot of negative vibes on Twitter and now in the press, and
that's all it is now.
Yeah, it's all it is. So yeah. I'm with you. I applaud them for just trying to let the fans be happy about something. You know what I mean? Let the fans be excited, except because they're expecting nothing but bad news right now.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of good news, but it's been covered up because people are so bent out of shape about the quarterback situation and the letting Collins go, the trading of Beckham, which I think is all good news. There's a lot of positives coming out of this, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But getting back to Shepard, they want him as the core, as part of the core. And I mentioned to you before, before we went on, who I thought the core was. And I want to see if you agree with me. Saquon Barkley.
Of course.
Will Hernandez.
Yes.
Jabril Peppers.
To be seen at a later date.
But they just invested a lot in him. So
True. No. I don't mean it from that standpoint. I mean that he hasn't, he's got to play. He's got to be on the field. He's got to be healthy. He's got to contribute. I'm sure they want him to be. They're kind of positioning for him to be.
Yep.
But I would think that, the jury's out on, if he's going to, gel with the media and they're going to like him. Is he going to be a good spokesperson? So I'll agree, but for me, I'm neutral on that one right so far.
Okay, Lorenzo Carter.
Oh, yeah, he should be on the field double the amount of snaps he got last year.
And B.J. Hill.
One of my favorites. I agree with that wholeheartedly.
They are looking for another B.J. Hill in this draft, and I don't really know if there is one out there. I see one guy from Texas A&M, Kingsley Kike, that I really like. He reminds me of B.J. Hill a little bit. You can look him up. Keke, his last name, Texas A&M. Defensive lineman. He'll probably play inside. The last guy I know you're going to disagree with, Evan Ingram.
Again, it's not that I disagree with you. I can't figure the cat out. We talked about this last week. He tweeted out something that said, he needs a PR person. He's like, I'm going to take better care of myself this year. I'm like, are you dumb? Like what is wrong with you? Like, regardless of what you think or what's factual and not, like, you don't want to tell the entire world you just partied all night and ate Twinkies for the last 2 years. Like, it just goes to show you're not disciplined and you don't have the team in mind. Like, now, am I saying the guy can't eat Twinkies and stay up all night? No, because we know some of the best players in the world have done it, right?
They all do it. They all eat 5,000 calories a day.
Yeah, but they're not tweeting about it.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, so
How
listen,
many calories do you think Jumbo Elliott used to eat in a single day?
I don't know, 20,000.
That was before noon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I won't name the player, okay, but so you all, I'm down here in South Jersey, right outside of Philadelphia. And I used to work for CBS Sports, and we used to cover a lot of the Eagles team. And I had a conversation with a certain player, which will remain nameless, told me that after the game, they used to sit in the parking lot, drink a case of beer, and a bottle of booze. Like,
wait, how many guys are you talking about? Just one?
What?
By himself?
A case per guy.
Oh, they did an Andre the Giant.
This was a very large guy.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, we'd sit around. He's like, we'd buy, three, four guys to sit in the parking lot, each with a case of beer and some booze. Like, that alone is 10,000 calories.
I know. That's great. I can't say I haven't done that.
Exactly. Yeah. And, well, I would die if I drank a case of beer and a half a bottle of booze. But
that's why I weighed 300 pounds at one time.
Yeah, because it puts it on you. And again, these guys are athletes and they lose the weight. But I'm all for Ingram being a leader. I'm also for trading him and drafting Hawkinson, which is a whole nother story. But if Ingram steps up,
they're not going to do that.
I know, it's one of those wishful thinking things. Listen, just so I can close the door on it. I like Ingram. I'm rooting for Ingram. He's an anomaly. I can't quite figure him out. The hot and cold, the Shermer saying he's a better blocker than you think. Well, if he was a better blocker, why would you be trying to tell me? Are you trying to convince yourself?
Yeah, I think they are.
Yeah, I'm rooting for the guy and I want him to do well. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Again, as far as like the core, yeah, I would say they would want him to be the core. I just don't know if he has it in him to be the core. Like Shepard got here and he stepped right into that limelight, even though he had OBJ right there, Barkley stepped right in. Ingram's kind of like a wallflower a little bit. He's upset that he drops balls, so he eats a couple Twinkies. I don't know.
We're going to find out for sure after this season when it comes to them picking up the 50-year option on him or not. We'll find out for sure.
Which, by the way, and to just put a nail in the Shepard thing, I want to commend the Giants for being proactive and going out there and sign him, regardless of how much he got paid or anything. It's the first time I can remember in a long time the Giants saying, hey, we want this guy as our future, or quote unquote, as you mentioned, the core, the core of the team. Let's just alleviate the drama and let's get this deal done now. What a refreshing approach.
Yeah, they need to do a little bit more of that. But the thing is if they're not doing it with a player, that tells you volumes. That speaks volumes. It tells you that they're on the outs.
I agree.
Now, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I keep stepping over you. I know you want to talk.
No, I'm good.
In this draft, it's pretty safe to say they won't draft a wide receiver at least the first 2 days. Because they just signed Russell Shepard back. And they also signed Cody Latimer, Benny Fowler, and they tended Corey Coleman. They still have Alonzo Russell and Jawill Davis under contract for another year or two. So they got a lot of wide receivers under contract.
I don't know. Can they catch?
I don't know. But I like Russell Shepard. I think he's not a bad player. Latimer, if he's healthy. Benny Fowler, Coleman, I don't know. They're replaceable if you ask me. Alonzo Russell.
Coleman's a kick returner, so we're good.
Yeah, and so is Latimer.
Yeah, but I think Coleman's a lot more explosive. Right. I don't mean to change the subject. I just
No. You're right. That's why they're there. I mean, they're versatile. But if they see a wide receiver on day 3, they do have 12 picks. I don't know if they'll use them all, but they do have 12 picks. They'll probably take one, but I don't think they're going to use one of their first 4 picks on a wide receiver. And there's a few good ones they could use them on, believe me. They could get a guy who stretch the field. That'd be nice.
If you think that's part of the game plan. It doesn't look like that's part of the game plan.
No, it doesn't. Because they're, like I said, they're signing all these guys back, so they're pretty much saying this is going to be our 2019 receiving core.
And if you need a guy to stretch the field, you do have a tight end that runs a 4.45.
And Coleman could do it too. He's fast. So
yeah,
not that anybody would cover him, but
Yeah.
Then you throw it to him. He's open.
He just needs to catch.
He just has to hold on to it, right?
Yeah. Day 3 is interesting. Yeah, I'm more prone to say you've got a big full room on the wide receiver room is full. Is basically what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Where the cornerback room is barren.
Oh, it's empty, and that leads us to the next thing.
Yeah, because if you're looking on day 3, I know everybody's trying to jam in offensive people, offensive tackles and so forth, and I get it. And I know I've been getting a lot of crap on Twitter for just hunting defensive players and projecting defensive players. But, man, the cornerback room is so empty, I think you and I might be able to slot ourselves a seat. So they better find a couple corners in this draft. Now, they did just sign somebody from the
AAF.
Yeah, the AAF. Yeah, I know they just signed someone today.
His name is Henri Tolliver.
Yep.
And
that's still only like 4 guys. They're 3 corners short.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of corners in this draft, a lot of good ones too. And I think they're going to have to use one of their first 4 picks on a solid corner or safety. So, and there's quite a number that we already talked about. I don't know if they're going to end up getting one of the top ones. I think maybe in the 3rd round they'll sign a corner. There's one guy I really like, Joanne Williams, Vanderbilt, 6'4". He's
as a free safety or
he's
a
corner.
Is he gonna? I know this sounds ridiculous when I say that.
I know you're gonna ask me, but I don't know.
Because a guy that big, he doesn't sound like you can bend when you're that big.
He bends people. He doesn't have to bend.
Yeah, all right, fair enough.
I watched his highlight reel. I'm like, this isn't fair. He's just swatting balls away from these guys. He's crushing them after they catch it.
I've never seen a corner that big ever.
No,
I really don't think I've seen a corner that big.
I'm just fascinated with this guy. It's Joejuan Williams, Vanderbilt. So if you're listening, just go on YouTube and look at his highlight reel. And he looks a little awkward out there, but he's got to be tough to go up against.
Yeah, I'm sure he's intimidating, right?
Yeah.
He's like going up against Plaxico Burress.
Yeah, it's usually the other way around. The receiver is taller than the defensive back, but in this case, the defensive back's bigger than the receivers. I like him. There's a few others too. I think we'll talk about it. Maybe we get closer to the draft, but that's just one guy that's in my head. And Nasir Adderley, safety from Delaware. I love him.
Yeah, Delaware is a funny school.
Yeah.
It's pretty close to me down here. And it's just a funny school. Like, they don't get these big-time players, but they do turn out a couple good sleepers.
Yeah, they put out some pros, sure. Put out Scott Bruner.
Oh, don't even – listen. Hey, listen, I'm going to sidetrack you for 30 seconds.
Joe
You want to hear
Flacco.
something? Ready? Well, hold the Scott Bruner thought. Ready?
Yeah.
So my junior year of college, we were playing in the semifinals against Hofstra, okay?
Flying Dutchman.
Yep. I think Wayne Corbett was a redshirt freshman on the team. So I think he was redshirted, right?
Right.
Because I'm a little bit older. And I went on YouTube to see if I could find any footage of the game, which we kind of got beat up. But they show the the broadcasters in the booth as they're
why don't you tell the listeners what team you were on?
The College of New Jersey.
There you go. Okay.
At the time, it was Trenton State. We wore uniforms that looked like Notre Dame, like the gold helmets and the Navy. And the game was actually broadcasted by, wait for it, Scott Bruner.
Oh.
Yeah. Now, but here's the thing. I didn't know at the time. I just went out and YouTubed it. And and they're showing the two guys in the booth, and they're talking and they're breaking down. Again, it was a big game. Again, it's not a bowl game. It's not the Cotton Bowl, the Rose Bowl, but it's the biggest. It's the second largest game you can get in D3. And I'm like, is that Scott Bruner? I'm like, so Scott Bruner's post-playing games, he was demoted to NFL quarterback to Division III football broadcaster. But I guess you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, that's really starting low. No offense.
No offense taken, man. No offense taken.
Wow. And Scott Bruner wore number 12. And Phil Simms told me the story. I said, how do you get to number 11? And he says, I wanted number 12 when I came to the Giants. And he said, this guy, another quarterback by the name of Jerry Goldstein. I don't know if you remember him.
I do not.
He played, I think, 1 or 2 years tops with the team. Golsteyn. Goldstein. It's a Dutch name, right? So he said Goldstein wouldn't give up 12. He said because Namath was his idol, Sims told me. He said he was my idol. He was everybody's idol who was that age, right?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, mine too. And, I was a Giants fan, and, I had a Joe Namath shirt.
Yeah, because you wished he was on your team.
Yeah, and they should have been. But, Giants would, whatever. But anyway, he said Goldstein wouldn't give it up, so he took 11. The clubhouse guy said, why don't you take 11? So he said, okay. So he took 11. Next year, Goldstein's gone. And they come back to him and say, Phil, you want the 12 now? He says, nah, forget it. So they kept 11. He says,
didn't Bruner have the number?
Then Bruner came along and took 12. That was the next part of the story. So
Phil was there before Bruner?
Yes. Bruner came, I think, 2 years later. Or maybe the next year.
Because I remember you had Rutledge was 17, Dave Brown was 17, Cannell was 13.
Hostetler was 15.
Hostetler was 15. What number did Graham wear? 10?
Graham was 10. He was the one who disgraced the number.
Yeah.
Although I really liked Kent. He wasn't bad when, he had a couple of good games.
You know what was interesting about Kent?
Supposed to be good anyway.
He left and came back.
Yeah.
He was better on his second tour of duty than his first tour of duty.
Well, the first Giant game I went to was 1967. I'm aging myself. I was 6 years old. They played the Saints at Yankee Stadium, and number 10 was the quarterback for the Giants that day.
Is that Tarkenton?
Fran Tarkenton. Giants, the Saints were winless. It was their first season. They were an exhibition team. And they came into Yankee Stadium. They were winning 21-20 in the fourth quarter. I remember my father and his friends sitting there like, I can't, repeat what they were saying. But
I got you.
Tarkenton threw a touchdown pass, and I looked it up. I forgot who it was. It's a guy by the name of Bobby Crispino. And he caught the winning touchdown for the Giants. And they won 27-21. They barely beat the expansion Saints. And the Saints would win about 2 or 3 weeks later. They'd get their first win against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Dun-dun.
So that's good. But, after Tarkenton left, Brad Van Pelt had 10 for a long time. And here's a good story about Van Pelt. See, I told you I did a little research. Why was he allowed to wear number 10?
He was a punter.
He was the backup kicker. You're right. That's why they gave it. That's why the league made an exception. That year when he came in, 1973, they had just changed the number scheme for the players. I mean, they don't enforce it too much anymore. But if you were a linebacker, you had to be, I think, either 50s or 90s at that point.
That still holds true. You can't wear 40s if you're a linebacker.
You have to have two positions, and if you're going to play it. So he got the exception.
The only difference now is that receivers can wear teens.
Yes.
But your line is still the same, 60s and 70s, and then your linebackers, like you said, are 50s and 90s. I still think that rule holds true.
I think it's in there somewhere. It's in the rule book somewhere. The rule book is, you get tired reading the first 3 pages. I mean, it's just boring as hell. So you have to know what you're looking for. So if anybody wants to look that up for us, I think it still holds. But Brad Van Pelt, the first year was 1973. He was a rookie. And they put him on the taxi squad that year. He didn't make the team.
Yeah, that was a different world back then.
And Van Pelt was actually drafted with one of the picks they got back from the Vikings when they traded Tarkenton back to Minnesota. And one of the picks that the Vikings used, that the Giants gave them for the Tarkenton trade in '67, was on a wide receiver, like a flanker by the name of Bob Grimm. And then in '70, when they traded back for Tarkenton, the Vikings sent Grimm to the Giants. So, it was just a crazy trade. I don't know why they did it. Why Tarkenton went back, I can't remember the story. I think he was unhappy here, and of course the Giants said, "Okay, where do you want to go?" Instead of trading him to the highest bidder, and they got what they got for him. But they ended up with Van Pelt, so that was good.
The only reason why I remember the number rule, and again, talk about, I'm dating myself, I guess, also it was a big deal, if you remember, when Brian Bosworth came out, that he made a big stink about wearing number 44.
Correct.
And they refused to give it to him, and it was like a big deal on how he was going to be the first player, to wear a 44, and they were like, nope, the rule's been in place forever, and he went from 44 to 55. And then Bo Jackson ran over him, and his career was over.
And he went to 00.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I remember, some of those things, Plaxico was probably, if I'm not mistaken, one of the first receivers to switch to a teen number, because he was like 81 or something in Pittsburgh. Numbers are funny. I think Armstead might have been one of the first guys to wear a 90. So numbers are always fun. I don't like what they do now. Like, if you remember, they basically, someone in the clubhouse thought, it might have been a cruel joke or something, that every running back the Giants ever had was going to wear number 27. It was like Rodney Hampton and Ron Dane and Brandon Jacobs, and they just thought it was funny to just keep reissuing these numbers. So,
well, if you remember, one of the first, maybe it was the first Giants linebacker to wear a 90, a guy by the name of Johnny Cooks.
Oh yeah, what? That's a great pick.
And then DiAsi Sr.
Yeah, he wore 99, correct?
Right, but he was also a long snapper.
You know what's, man, you're totally jogging my memory. If I'm not mistaken, Cooks came from the Colts.
That's right.
I guess as a free agent, and I think he wore 98.
He was 98, and DiAsi was 99.
Yeah. No, that's good. It's good memory on your part, because I forgot all about it, because I just remembered Armstead, but that's because also Armstead was great. So it's easy to overlook a Johnny Cooks.
Well, sometimes you run out of numbers. I mean, because you have offensive linemen that are wearing 50s, and you have linebackers. If you have a lot of linebackers, they're wearing 50s, and nobody's wearing 56.
Yeah, well, no one will ever wear. Well, it's funny because it'll never happen. But
it's retired, isn't it?
It's retired, sure. Yeah. 56 and 11 are retired. But what's kind of cool that they do in baseball, which is super rare, but they retired Jackie Robinson's number across the league, except for Mariano Rivera was already wearing it.
Right.
So he was the last one to ever wear it. I always thought nobody should wear 56 again, because I'm so tired of hearing people going, "Oh, he's the next LT." No, he's not.
We're waiting for the next LT, the next Wayne Gretzky. We're waiting for them all. It's not happening.
Gretzky's listen. I was a Gretzky fan too growing up, but remember, you've had some guys hockey like Lemieux and Crosby. So once in a while you get some hockey players, but to say, you'll see another Jackie Robinson or you'll see another Mariano Rivera, another LT, it just doesn't happen.
No. Nope. And, you could try to get that guy. I remember Andre Tippett, who's in the Hall of Fame. They thought he would be an LT. He was good.
He was good, but I'm not even sure he was a Hall of Famer. I'm not knocking the guy.
He wore the same number, though.
He was awesome, and he did wear the same number, but he wasn't. They said the same thing about the guy from Buffalo, Darren Talley.
Darryl Talley. Pat Swilling was another guy, 56.
Oh, well, there's a great story about...
He's a good player.
There's a great story that you can watch on those Giant films that come on once in a while on how Parcells used to motivate LT.
Yeah.
Right? About him putting a note on his stool and be like, hey, if you're not going to play great this week, we got no problem trading for the other 56 in New Orleans, and constantly reminding him that, Pat Swilling was a good player.
Did you see the retweet I did, but talking about Parcells, that Mike Tannenbaum sent out about what Parcells looks for in a quarterback, or looked for in a quarterback?
No, I usually see all your stuff. I must have missed that one. What did he say?
You didn't see that, huh? Okay, let's see here.
Tannenbaum, huh? He got a job?
He works for somebody.
No, I got no beef with Tannenbaum. I mean, he tried at least.
No, he's a smart guy. Mike Tannenbaum. Where is he?
He just happened to be stuck with the Jets.
Okay, yeah, well, I'll tell you what, he did a pretty good job with the Jets, if you ask me. I thought he did a very good job with the Jets. I mean, I didn't think Rex Ryan was a head coach. That was about it. So,
well, he's like, just to touch on what you just said. The thing about Rex Ryan, he reminds me a lot of Mike Tomlin. Like, you're too much of a player's coach and you lose control over everything.
Yeah. Well, I can't really find it right now, but let me just check. So, how many quarterbacks did Parcells actually draft?
Draft? So I guess, did he draft Bruner or no?
I forget where Bruner came from. I think he was a walk. I think he was a free agent.
I'm gonna have to look it up. So I don't know. I guess he drafted.
Oh, here it is. I got it.
Sims and Hostetler, I guess.
Sims, he wasn't involved in.
Oh,
Hostetler, right. I think he may have had some input on. With the Jets, it was Pennington, right? And New England, it was Drew Bledsoe.
You mean his whole career?
Yeah, I mean his lifetime. Tony Romo, he didn't draft, but he signed him. So here's the 7 attributes, I found it, that Parcells wanted in a quarterback that he drafted or signed. He had, as a rookie. 1 3-year starter. I know you like that part.
I love it.
2 senior. Well, we don't get crazy about that. 3 graduate. You can take that or leave it. Here's one you're like, 30-game starter.
Thank you.
Win at least 23 of 30.
That's a pretty winning quarterback. Okay.
Yeah, so he's 23-7, or at least 23-7. A 2-to-1 TD to interception ratio. That's pretty good. He doesn't like guys who turn the ball over. You know that. Nobody does.
No.
The defense does. 60% completion percentage. That's pretty good.
I'm on board with everything. I mean, listen, what the heck do I know? I mean, in today's day and age, I don't know if you need a graduate from college. Maybe they go back and get it, but
it doesn't matter. Especially, it's not going to matter going forward if the XFL has their way and starts signing guys out of high school.
Well, yeah, that's a whole nother show.
To me, that's insane, and that leads me to the Gettleman thing, where he said on that Giants mini video on the Giant website, Path to the Draft, he says, how do you prepare a kid coming out who's 20 years old to face a 28-year-old guy who wants to rip your head off, who knows every trick of the trade? And if you start signing guys out of high school, it's going to be more of a disparity. So
check this out. I found the material that you're looking at.
Yeah.
and I don't want to take credit for it. It comes from a writer by the name of Joe Marino.
I don't think I know him, but
It looks like, well, the photos of USA Today is one of your guys, but it's the draftnetwork.com, right?
oh yeah,
So-
I know the Draft Network. Yeah,
Yeah, so Joe Marino wrote a piece with this information that you said from Tannenbaum about Parcells,
yes,
and he breaks down all the quarterbacks up against Parcells' criteria, right?
okay,
And it says 3-year start. Haskins is the first quarterback up. Haskins 3-year starter? No. Is he a senior? No. Did he graduate? No. Did he start 30 games? No.
Wow.
Did he win 23 games? No. TD INT ratio 2-1? Yes. 54-19.
Mm-hmm.
Completion rate over 60? Yes. 70%. So he met 2 out of the 7 criteria.
Right.
Kyler Murray.
Okay.
Okay, I don't have to go through them. You want me to go through them or no?
Well, who's the most suitable according to Parcells in this year's draft?
Great question. Okay, so it's not Haskins.
Right.
It's not Murray. Let me keep going. All right, you want to take a guess?
Jarrett Stidham.
Come on, man. Are you cheating?
No, I know it already, and I'm
Okay.
going to tell you right now, he's going to be taken in the second round.
Okay, now, just to throw a wild card in there, there is one that meets all 7 criteria.
Oh, I know who it is. Daniel Jones.
Nope.
Lock.
Nope. This one is not the tip of your tongue quarterback.
Wow. So he's not one of the top guys.
I guess it depends on where you come from. No, I don't find him as one of the top guys, but it's interesting that he's got 7 out of 7.
Who is it?
Ryan Finley, North Carolina State.
Well, he's going to be drafted. Now, it all depends on where you like him. Is he a Mike Glennon? And Mike Glennon has a job, and it makes a lot of money, by the way,
Yeah.
as we all know. He just doesn't get a chance to play. Now, this guy, Finley, he may be a good player in this league. You know, a lot of people were high on him, and then all of a sudden he didn't really work out as well as they thought he would. You know, in some of the workouts, they saw him up close. But that doesn't mean he can't get into a system and be a decent quarterback.
Agreed. I'll even go as far to say this. In today's day and age, you know, you and I off there were talking about old school, right?
Yeah.
In today's day and age, these guys don't get groomed in the pros. They get groomed in college. They start early. So, you know, they're used to processing. I mean, people dismiss it all the time. You can't dismiss processing.
Mm-hmm.
Reading a defense, understanding a playbook, understanding how to interact with your teammates. They call it emotional intelligence. So, you know, this guy, Ryan Finley, while he may hit 7 out of 7, there's a reason why he stayed for his senior year, you know, and there's a reason why he wasn't jumping off the page. He's really good at everything, but he's not great at anything.
Right.
So when I scroll back,
That's a good description.
Yeah, and Finley is 7 of 7. Stidham, if I'm pronouncing that right. Stidham is 5 of 7. But who's also 5 of 7 is Tyree Jackson from Buffalo.
Oh.
Which again,
somebody's going to draft these guys, and all of a sudden they're going to be playing one day, and you're going to say, "Wait a minute, how come we don't have this guy?"
Yeah, well, again,
It happens every year.
Tyree Jackson is enormous. I mean, he's like 6'7".
He's 6'7", 250, and he runs a 4.59 40.
Yeah, to me that though, again, I'm fine. I hope he makes it. I'm just saying, like, it's kind of odd for me to see a quarterback that big. You don't see him that big.
No, it's like Dante Culpepper, who's a little thinner and can run.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Jackson and Stidham, did I say that right again?
Yes.
Stidham and Jackson are both 5 of 7, and then right next to him is Will Grier with 4 out of 7.
Mm-hmm.
And Daniel Jones at 4 out of 7. Drew Lock's 5 of 7. The interesting one that I didn't mention, and I know there's some people out there listening to the Giants guy say, well, I know this guy. There's a guy from Boise State named Brett Rippon.
Right.
Or Ripon, depending on how you, I guess you
well,
pronounce it.
Well, how did you pronounce, Mark Rippon's name?
Yeah. Is that his son?
I think it is. I don't know. I didn't do any work on Rippon.
Okay, because he's 7 of 7, and I've never heard of him. Like,
oh no, I know who he is. I just assumed he was a relative.
Yeah, I'm just like so between Rippon being 7 of 7 and Finley being 7 of 7. My question is this: what I mentioned a minute ago is they probably will get drafted, but there's a reason why they don't jump off the page. I can't put my finger on it, but they're good at a lot of things. Doesn't mean they're great at anything.
Right.
So guys like Haskett and Murray and Locke and Greer stand a better chance of making an impact.
Just to get back to Rippon, I knew this. He's Mark Rippon's nephew.
Okay.
That's not his son. That's his nephew. I knew, and I did do work on him. Now that I'm looking at his stats, Boise State is blue heaven, so everybody's great there.
I mean, he's got a 90-29 TD interception ratio. 90-29.
That's great.
Mean, yeah. And I'm thinking, like, what? Nobody's talking about this guy. I don't know why.
I don't know why they're not talking. Well, because he's Boise State. That's why. Boise State, the air is thin. Mountain air. But, a lot of guys come from the mountains. Josh Allen came from Wyoming.
Yep.
What's his name? Came from the guy from the Eagles, Carson Wentz. Where did he come from? Big Sky Country.
Yeah, Montana.
North Dakota State.
Or Wyoming, one of the two.
North Dakota State. Josh Allen's from Wyoming.
Oh, that's right. Josh Allen. My bad.
And, they're all like, every play's a pass. So you got to look at that. It's like playing baseball in Las Vegas. And Albuquerque, the air is a little thinner, and everybody's hitting home runs.
Yeah, Colorado, same thing. And do you like any of these guys for the Giants? I mean, regardless if they match up to Parcells, 7 for 7. I mean,
If I'm taking a quarterback for the Giants, I'm taking him right away. I'm not going to wait. I'm getting it right out of the way. I'm ripping the Band-Aid off.
Who do you want?
So if they like Drew Lock, I'm taking him 6th. I'm getting it over with, and I'm going to shut everybody up.
Damn
and then
you.
we'll work from there.
Damn you!
I'm not going to wait to 17 to take a quarterback because it's not going to be the guy I want. If I want Jarrett Stidham, I'll take him 6th. Or I'll trade down. If that's the guy I like, I'm trading out of 6.
Okay, well I can vouch for because there's none of these guys are worth 6.
No, of course not. Well, Haskins was worth 6, and now he's falling, and I don't know why.
Well, I mean, listen, I don't know why either. I just circle back to the fact that
people are coming to their
Giants
senses.
need 2 plug-and-play guys. Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm just my opinion on what I've seen, but
you want me to give you my draft strategy right now?
I'm all for it. Bring it.
If one of the big 4 is not there when I'm drafting, I'm trading down.
Tell me your 4, because everyone has a different 4.
Quinnen Williams, Josh Allen, Nick Bosa, Devin White. If none of them are there at 6, I'm trading back to 10. And I'm still going to get the guys I want anyway. Clellan, Farrell, or whoever the hell I want. Rashawn Gary.
I've had a little change of heart on my side.
But do you see what I'm saying? Get another second round pick. Why are you taking anybody other than those guys at number 6? You really shouldn't. Or you take a quarterback, the one you want, and tell everybody to go to hell.
Yeah. I can't take a quarterback at 6 and go through another dismal year. It's just so hard to watch. And just not being competitive. It's like painful, like year after year. I just want to watch them play football and watch them compete.
Right.
If you draft two, you can go in and draft Oliver at 6 and Farrell or Gary at 17.
Do you think Oliver is as good as the big four that I mentioned? I think he's a little bit of a wild card.
I do like Oliver, and I'll tell you, I like him at 6. But I'll also say this to you: I didn't start it, but I don't know why. I got a little. Someone sent a tweet out to me earlier this week about why is everyone fascinated with Devin White, right?
Well, I'll tell you why.
Well, exactly. But here's the thing, though, John. It struck me really funny because I thought everybody was on the D White train, right? And I was like, okay, so why is this guy not on board? What do you mean? Like everything you saw this guy do at the combine was electric. So I took a couple days and did some, as you said, I did some research, right?
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you a couple things that you might not like. Are you sure you want to hear them?
I read some of the negative vibes, negative scouting reports on Devin White, and I say, you know what? When he gets to the NFL, that'll all be corrected.
All right, because there's 2 or 3 things, and I'll give you the quick pro and con. The first pro we know is he's so fast, he's in the hole before anyone else. He's running at a completely different speed than the other 21 guys on the field.
So he over pursues. You know how that is going to be negated? There's bigger guys in the NFL that are going to slow him down.
Well, not only that, the guys in the pros are just as fast as him.
And they're smarter, and fullbacks will get in his way. They'll figure him out. He'll have to navigate all of that.
So the thing that stuck out to me in this research, and I watched a couple YouTube videos, I read a couple LSU articles on him. The 2 biggest things that stuck out, which really caught me off guard because I wasn't prepared for it, so I watched some non-highlight tape, right?
Right.
So, because, the highlights only showing you the good stuff. I still love the guy, but 2 things. He was an all-world running back. He's only been playing linebacker for 3 years, okay?
Right.
So when in high school, he got drafted to play running back, and I can't remember the school he went to, but he had 2 all-world running backs in front of them, and he was like the successor. And it escapes me right now. It'll come to me in a minute. But he had like 2 all-world running backs in front of him, and he was going to be the successor.
Where was this?
That's my point. I can't remember where
when he was in high school.
Yeah, I'm going to look it up in a second. But they turned him into a linebacker at LSU, and story's over. He's been a phenomenal linebacker. But it's not as much as the inexperience at the position, is his tackling skills are terrible. I mean, he has 0 fundamentals. He just happens to be there so much faster than everyone else. He hits them and knocks them over. His pure tackling skills are absolutely an abomination. Everything is above the waist, arm tackle, smash into you with my speed and strength, which we all know that running, backs in the NFL are going to just run through that, right?
Of course. You can't arm tackle anybody.
No. So my concern about D. White is if he doesn't go to a team with a legit straight-up linebacker coach, with a great defensive coordinator, I think it's going to get overlooked because that's how guys fall into bad habits,
But think about him coming to the Giants. He gets Bill McGovern as a coach. Guy's a very good coach.
Is he good enough?
Well, he's good enough to correct that.
Okay, I hope so, because I'm looking for a guy like Belichick, not head coach Belichick. I'm looking for defensive coordinator Belichick. Because this kid is fantastic, but he really can't tackle. I mean, I didn't see one piece of tape where an entire game he wrapped up and took a guy down. It's literally above the waist, like bumper cars, smashing into guys and grabbing them with arm tackles.
It works on the college level. It's not going to work in the NFL.
No. So I'm only saying that, they can't be afraid to tell this number 1 draft pick that his tackling sucks and that to play in this league, he's got to learn to wrap up. I don't think you had to tell Bobby Wagner or Luke Kuechly or Van Der Esch, or Patrick Willis.
Yep.
You didn't have to tell these guys how to tackle. So I'm just a little worried.
Well, those guys have been playing a position a lot longer than Devin White. So, he's still an ascending player. He's still learning. And here's the other part before we even get any further. I don't think he's going to be there when the Giants draft. So
okay.
I think Tampa Bay takes him, if not Oakland.
See, that's why I was looking at Oliver. Oliver can play with his hand in the dirt, and at the combine, they asked him to do linebacker drills. He
can drop back, yeah.
Yeah, so he might. I don't know. I'm kind of leaning a little bit on Oliver right now because he knows how to tackle, and he's, like where I was a little high on Gary. Gary's kind of slid down for me a little bit.
With 17, I'd take Gary.
Agreed. I'd take Gary at 17, yes. So, like, now I'm looking at, like, I want D. White or Oliver at 6, and I want Gary or Farrell at 17. And then if you want to go Greer in the second round, I'm cool with that.
I would like to see them get a corner early in this draft. I'd like to see them.
You don't think third round's good enough? You think the good guys?
No, that's what I mean. At least the first 2 days. One of their first 4 picks. I'd like to see them get a corner. I don't like the situation. Jenkins is probably only here for a year more before they cut him loose, unless he has a superb season. He's not that old.
No, he's not. But if that's
Deal
the
has
case,
never played in snap. We don't know anything about him. And Grant Haley is, come on.
Can Greedy Williams last that long?
I don't want Greedy Williams.
Okay.
I think he's highly overrated. I like DeAndre Baker. He won't be there in the third round. There's a few other. I'm going to do my cornerback list next week.
All right, because you got me convinced. Week. You convinced me on the guy from Penn State. I like him a lot.
Jawan Williams. But I wouldn't take him anywhere before the third round.
No, the other guy, Awari.
Him I want. I want all those guys. They need somebody like that because, let me tell you something. I don't like the situation. Like you said, they're wafer thin to begin with. I don't care if they just signed some guy from AAF. It doesn't matter. I know a lot of people don't take a lot of stock in cornerbacks, but you need at least 2 really good ones. Okay? And possibly a third to play the slot. Okay? You've got to be solid there. You've got to be 3 deep. And they're not 3 deep right now.
How many third-round picks do the Giants have?
They only have 1, and it's at the end. So you go from pick 37, which is the 6th pick in the second round, to the last pick, the last non-compensatory pick in the third round, 95. So there's a lot of talent flowing under the bridge there between 37 and 95, and a lot of good talent. So that leads me to believe they're going to try to sneak in there somewhere.
Would you be then opposed to, say, Oliver or White at 6, Gary at 17, then going, or no, not Gary at 17, a corner at 17, going Greer at 37 in round 2, and then going like someone like maybe Winovich in round 3?
Yeah. It kind of weakens them a little bit, but you really have to cover the bases. And the bases in this draft for the Giants, before we move on to the next topic, are they need a right tackle. They've got to find. You can find that in the 4th round. There's some good guys there who can actually plug and play. You might be able to get them. I think you might be able to get a guy who'll be able to step in sometime this season.
Okay. I like that.
Okay, there's not a lot of them, but you've got to be wise, and there's a Titus Howard out there. There's a Dennis Daly. There's an Ollie Udo. There's somebody there that they like that they're going to get there with that.
You also got me interested in the kid Evans from
He's
Iowa?
Another guy, Oklahoma. He's another guy that may be a possibility, but I like these other guys that I mentioned better.
Okay, because I'm okay in the 4th round taking how many? There's 2 or 3 4th round picks.
2. One in the
beginning,
one in the end.
I'm fine with taking two tackles, two linemen in the fourth round.
Right.
I just want to make sure that they have, in those first 4 picks, which are 2 1s, 1 2, 1 3, is there are 3 defensive players that come out of those 4 picks because 2 of those guys are going to start.
Well, some of the corners that I talked about, there was a guy who played at Clemson by the name of Mark Fields. He can be a day 3 pick for them. He's a corner you're going to like. David Long from Michigan, you got to take him before the 4th round. These are all guys that are good cover guys. And you need depth there. So you need talent and depth. You just don't need numbers. You need quantity. You need quality as well. So that's why I think it's, they need too much.
Yeah. I was going to say, if we can rush the passer, which we haven't been able to do in a very long time.
Right.
And I don't mean casually rush the passer. I mean make an impact.
You have Carter coming back.
Yeah.
All right.
Come on,
you have Golden now.
Yeah, but Carter's one guy.
But Golden is another guy.
But you think he's going to rush the passer?
That's what he does.
I meant successfully.
Well, if he's healthy and he's in the right scheme, he was always good for Betcher.
Okay.
And, when he played for Betcher initially, he had 12.5 sacks in that role. Then he got hurt. Then Betcher left, was playing for Steve Wilkes, and they went to a 4-3, and that wasn't his gig. So that's why he fell out of favor. And then he became a free agent, and the Giants almost immediately were in negotiations with him.
Yeah, because I tell you, I when I was a kid, the Giants ran a 3-4, and I didn't really appreciate it because, I don't know, it just felt natural. We always had great linebackers, And then for the last, I don't know, 12 years or something, we've been running the Giants have had a 4-3 defense. So It's always been stud defense ends for year after year after year. Going back to the 3-4 just feels uncomfortable because they just don't have the talent. You need 4 stud linebackers, and we have 1.5.
We don't even have that. I'll tell you that right now.
Zoe Carter's the real deal. He can play.
Yeah. He's on the Will side, right? Is he on the Will side? Yeah.
Yep. And then which I actually think he could probably play both the weak and the strong. But and I know again this is not a popular thing to say, but I like Ogletree. He did not have a great year against the run, but he had a good year versus the pass, and it was his first year, with the team.
Under that defense, right?
Under that defense, I know the people listening to the show are like, that guy sucks, but he doesn't suck. But so I don't know. I'm okay with Ogletree.
I wasn't happy with the level, the effort level of the linebackers, and it might be, just to cut you off here for 1 second. It might be because Collins was in the box making all the tackles, and he's faster than there. My brother said this to me. He says, you know what? He shouldn't even be there. He's playing out of position, like we always said, and he's beating all these guys to the tackles. Every year with the team, he led the team in tackles, Collins. And
it's not a bad thing, no?
It's not a bad thing, but it's not a good thing. It's not his job to make some of these tackles. He's either playing out of position, which we know he is, or the linebackers stink, which I think is a combination of both.
I think I agree. It's a combination of both. But I just, as a former strong safety, and I'm not saying that I played Division I football, but I'm just saying, as a strong safety, your job was to tackle anything that came across that line of scrimmage. I know, again, they have schemes and stuff like that, but the goal is to take the guy with the ball and put him on the ground. I know it sounds stupid, but
football has always been kill the guy with the ball.
Exactly. So I can't. And I'm listening. Your brother's a smarter guy than I am. I'm just saying that, yes, you want to stop them with your first line, and then the second line is your linebackers, and your third line is your corners and safeties. But he was only making those tackles because remember, those receivers or running backs were shredding through the first and second line. So it can go either way. If you had a better D line and better linebackers, Collins wouldn't have to make those tackles.
That's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is that he was a guy who was going forward all the time, and couldn't go backwards, and that's why he was so terrible against the pass. Somebody would run right past him. It's easier if I'm going to cover a tight end and I'm 8 yards off the line of scrimmage or 10 yards off the line of scrimmage, I got an advantage, right? If I'm 3 yards off the line of scrimmage and he's coming off the line, he's got the advantage.
Sure, he's going to run right by you.
Exactly, and that's what was happening.
Yeah. So, but I'm just saying, from a philosophy standpoint, if you still had Snacks and you had 2 great middle linebackers with Hill and you had a pass rush, we would not be having this conversation right now.
This is why they need Devin White.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I am fine with that. Again,
they're not going to get him, but this is why they need him.
Yeah, he's still my guy. I just want you to know that it was painful to watch that dude tackle. So I hope they get right on him from day one and realize that he's going to have to learn to wrap up in the NFL. Or these guys are going to be blowing through his arm tackles.
Do you think that even though he's a little smaller, Devin Bush would be a better fit for the Giants?
I don't because I don't like we've had enough downhill linebackers.
He's like Voshon Joseph from Florida. Have you seen him play?
I have not seen any Florida. Is he?
He's a middle linebacker.
Is he tweener or is he a thumper?
He's got his issues, but he's a downhill player too. But he's bigger.
Yeah, the benefit of having, regardless of his tackling skills, the benefit of having White is he runs a 4.3. I mean a 4.4.
Yeah,
he's going to be in position to make the play. You know what I mean? Over these guys that are running 4.5s and 4.6s. Look, right. I love the kid from USC, but he's a 4th round pick, and while he's a tackling machine for USC, what's his name? Smith?
Cameron Smith. Yeah.
Yeah, I love him. He's maybe worth the 4th round pick, but he's like Blackburn. He's going to make.
There's nothing wrong with Chase Blackburn, boy. My father, he loved Chase Blackburn, and remember, he made an interception in the Super Bowl.
Yes, of course. I'm the last guy to kill the underdog because that's all I've ever been.
But you need guys like that in the middle of the field.
Agreed. But what we're talking about is I'm okay if you draft what's his first name? Connor Smith?
Cameron Smith.
I'm fine if you draft Cameron Smith in the 4th round and he plays above his talent level. I'm fine with that. That's what Chase Blackburn did out of Akron, Ohio. Right?
That's right.
But I'm not okay. What's that?
He was a Zip.
Oh, that's right.
An Akron Zip.
I forgot what their
that's some name. That's some team name, the Zips.
I totally spaced on that. I was like, what were they? Acorns? Right. A guy like Bush is going to have all the speed to go sideline to sideline. I'm not Bush, White. I just don't need another thumper. I need, if you're playing a 4-3, I need a linebacker that can go from sideline to sideline and play the run.
They want my opinion. They need both.
Yeah,
I would take Cameron Smith and one of the Devons. I don't care. I can't have enough guys who are willing to make tackles.
I'm just not taking Bush at 6.
No. He's not a top 10 pick. I don't think he is.
Okay. At 17, it would be up. I would take Bush. I would take Farrell. I would take Gary.
The reason why I like Farrell is because now the Giants play. Here's the other problem I have with this defense. You don't really know what it is. It's not a 3-4. Half the time it's a 4-3.
Yeah, hybrid.
So this is why you need a guy like Farrell or Gary because they can play different types of schemes. Montez Sweat, I don't know if he can play in a 4-3. He might have to be outside.
You mean he can't? You mean you said 4-3? You meant
right? I don't know if he can play defensive end in a 4-3.
You don't?
I don't know.
That's interesting. Okay.
I don't know.
He reminds me of Osi a little bit.
I think he has to be separated from the line of scrimmage. He's got to line up outside, as big as he is. Farrell can line up. He can wrestle tackles, and he can run around him. He can run over him. He's a strong guy. He's very good. If they try to cut him inside, he makes tackles across the line. He gets it to the backfield. He's probably the most. Gary is good that way too. Oliver is good that way. But I think if you want somebody to play end, Ferrell might be the best fit for the Giants.
When they run a 4-3?
Either way. Okay? He's got to have a good nose. First of all, they need a nose tackle. They don't have a nose tackle. If you're going to run a 3-4, you better have a nose tackle. So the best guy for that in this draft, there's a few of them.
Williams.
Dexter Lawrence.
Oh, okay. 342
pounds. He does. You cannot move him backwards. He's Linval Joseph, but, heavier. We talked about Linval Joseph, and, we weren't too sad that he left, but, he's still playing. He's playing at a high level.
Actually, he was one of these guys you missed after the fact because you didn't realize how good he was until he was gone.
Well, you just couldn't move him.
I mean, if you remember, he was the strongest guy on the team.
Right. He should have made more plays. But the one thing he did was he occupied the offensive line. It took two guys to take him on, at minimum two guys. So that helped. What the rest of the guys on the field were doing, I don't know, but we'll see.
I'm going to give you height and weight of a player that's supposed to go in the top 10 that we just talked about. And I want to know if you know that this guy is this big. Ready?
Okay.
6'2", 287, arms 31 3/4. Do you know who that player is?
Oliver.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He to me is a guy that could be the guy you're looking for because he could play. You could bump Hill to the inside and he could put his hand in the dirt and play outside technique. Or if I don't know if he'll play at 287, but he could probably, if he's a little bit lighter, he could probably play inside.
Well, they compare him to Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald's not 6'2". Aaron Donald's 6 feet.
Yeah, that boy's strong.
Okay, yeah. And he's probably about 300, 295, 300. So they almost have the same dimensions, but I think Oliver is actually more twitchy of a player. But you see, here's the thing. I just think Donald is a better player. He's more powerful. That's the only difference. So if you're taking Oliver, you're going to get a good player. You can move him around a little bit. But don't expect Aaron Donald.
No, I just looked him up. 6'1", 280. So they're really similar in size.
Donald is 6'1", 280. Okay.
Yeah, again.
I thought he was closer to 300. But
I was going to say, I think he was drafted a little heavier.
Right.
Exactly. But this past year he played at 280.
Okay.
So, that's why I think that's why I've kind of moved a little bit over to the Oliver thing because he could play inside. I don't know. I know they compare him to Darnold, but he could play inside and outside, and I think him and Hill would be a great combination.
Yeah. You want to get at least 4 more bodies for that front 7 in this draft if you can. I know we keep talking about they only have 12 picks. They need about 15 guys.
Yeah.
But if you could get Ferrell, imagine if you get Oliver and Ferrell to play next to each other.
Oh, that'd be crazy cool.
It's possible. It's very possible. People have fallen in love with Montez Sweat. To me, Montez Sweat, he can rush the passer, but I'm not quite sure about the rest of his game.
So,
and if you want a first-round pick to be one-dimensional like that, I don't know.
So Devin Bush, okay,
right,
is and I'm trying to see if they have him listed as an inside or an outside backer, because he's not tall enough to play outside.
He's not even 6 feet tall.
Yeah, he's 5'11".
Right. That doesn't really matter because
I'm just saying he doesn't.
Guys have played that short in the past, but
no, but he's more. That build for the NFL, he's built for the inside downhill than playing outside and being rangy like a Carl Banks.
Yeah.
So, the guy you like, Ferrell, I think makes more sense than a Bush.
I think because he can play in different schemes, and he's a beast. He's only a junior. People forget. He's not a senior. He's a junior. Here's a 6'5", 260 guy. who's got speed, strength. He's getting better. He's getting bigger. He's getting stronger. He can play any scheme on the outside. He can rush the passer. He can stop the run. He's got long arms.
Yeah,
like
man,
I said, he comes off to his right. If he's on the left defensive, he comes off to his right, stops the run. He gets guys from behind. If you watch his tape, he's very impressive. I mean, he's on that Clemson team that has a lot of talent up front. They had Wilkins, they had Lawrence, they had a few other guys. Then there's another guy I like from Notre Dame. His name is Jerry Tillery, an interior lineman, who's also going to go high in this draft, and somebody's going to be very happy with him. See, there's a lot of talent in this draft. So it's very difficult for me to stay at 6 if I don't have a drop-dead guy looking at me. You know what I'm saying? If I don't have Josh Allen staring me in the face at number 6, I can trade down to 10 or 13 and get 2 or 3 more picks on day 2. I could get a lot more of these guys, and that's what they need.
I think Allen will thrive in a 3-4 over a 4-3.
Probably. He's probably an outside linebacker, rusher, edge guy, yeah.
Because like Farrell is 6'4", 264. He
can play defensive end.
Correct. Yeah, he's
Tuck.
Coming. Yep. He's a little taller than Tuck, but I got you.
Tuck was he was a little taller than me, so I'd say he's about 6'5".
Because I don't, now that you say it, I don't know if Farrell's the guy because we don't run enough 4-3. We run some of it.
But you need a guy who's strong enough to seal that edge too. See, that I just don't want Montez Sweat to come in here and just be a pass rusher and then become a situational player.
Yeah, okay.
It's a waste of a when he's in, he's great. I mean, he's going to get in. He's going to get the passer. But you can't play him every down. He's a 2-down player. And you can't waste the number 1 pick on a 2-down player. You can't do it. That's what I tell people. That's you can't do that.
That's a no-no.
Yeah, if you're going to you need a guy that plays, like I said, 80% of the snaps. Quarterback, offensive lineman, wide receiver, cornerback, linebacker. A guy that's going to be on the field. You want your money's worth. That's where you draft your core players.
I just looked up top outside linebackers. Of course, Josh Allen being number 1, Burns being 2.
Yeah, it's another guy we haven't talked about.
Yeah, the guy had 15.5 tackles for a loss. He's got, 52 tackles, 10 sacks. I mean, he might be a better pick to put on the playing in a 3-4. And then, of course, they have this kid, Justin Hollins from Oregon.
Yeah, another good player.
And the kid you like, Polite from Florida.
I don't really like him that much. He hasn't worked out well, but I think that once he gets to the pros, he's going to be a beast.
Burns might be the guy.
Burns, I see a lot of mock drafts where he goes in the top 5. I don't think he's that good. He's very good, but I don't think he's top 5 material. Doesn't mean I wouldn't take him. I think he has the size and the speed, and he's all over the field. If you watch his tape, he's impressive. He wasn't even a first-round pick before the combine.
Oh, really?
Now he's in the top 10, top 5 for some people. Yeah.
Yeah, he plays on the weak side. So, I don't know if Carter can play the strong side.
I want a guy who can play with both his hand in the dirt and stand up.
Yeah, listen, Burns, according
to... That's what they need.
Now this is not possible. This has got to be his college number, 218 pounds.
No, he's about 245 now.
Yeah, I was going to say, this has got to be what he came into school weighing.
Yeah, I made that mistake on the last show with those guys, saying that he only weighed 220. And no, he gained 25, 30 pounds since that happened.
Yeah,
he was a tall, thin guy. Now he's filled out.
Yeah, that was his college weight when I guess when he committed.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, like, I don't know. It's going to be a tough pick because, like I said, you're at 6 and you need a guy. Like, if we were playing a 4-3, this wouldn't be an issue. We wouldn't be having this conversation.
Right.
Because all those guys like Sweat and Oliver would be prototypical 4-3 DNs.
Well,
But playing a 3-4, go ahead.
Oliver can play the nose, they're thinking. But I don't know in the scheme the Giants run if they're going to allow him to do that.
I don't know why you would when you had Hill. Hill have to bump inside.
Right. So how does Oliver fit? He's not really a defensive end. He really isn't.
I don't see why you couldn't, though.
Well, he could.
At 285, that's what Strahan came in the league as.
Yeah. I don't know. What we do know is that Tomlinson isn't really doing the job.
Yeah, he's kind of just there because, you're comparing him to Snacks, and that's a bad comparison.
But when you go to a true 3-4, he's got to play that nose. That's not his deal. That's not what he did in college.
I mean, you said the guy, your top 4. I mean, truthfully, what the Giants need, all this, this is all just a bunch of, rhetoric. What the Giants really just truly hands down need is, what's his name from Alabama?
Quentin Williams.
That's the guy they need, in this defense, and they're not going to get him. And then secondly would be Allen, because you need a smoking outside linebacker,
right.
And him and Carter on the outside would be disgusting. But those two guys who you really need, you aren't going to get.
Or Bosa. Bosa would be like we always said. You put him in, you put him at defensive end, and he does it all.
But Bosa's a 4-3 D end.
Right, but he could play in their scheme.
I believe he could because he's
at the end, at one of the ends.
Because he's more stout.
He's just so strong.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if he's playing out there all by himself. He's going to take 2 or 3 guys and throw them down.
But now you got situational players again, because you just said you wanted to get away from that. Like, he can't stand up and play outside.
No,
so
he wouldn't. He's not a linebacker. He's a defensive end. He's not an edge. They call him an edge rusher because he's on the edge, but he's really a DE.
Yeah, that's why I was saying, like, listen, I love Bosa. Yep, that's why I was saying, like, the two guys they really need are Allen and Williams, and they're not going to be there. Well, not that Bosa's going to be there either, but all those other guys, like you said, like Sweat, are traditional 4-3 DNs. It's going to be an interesting draft.
Well, I think they pretty much have their mind made up of who they want by now. We know it's not going to be wide receiver early. We know it's not going to be a running back early.
Or a corner.
Unfortunately, not a corner. They really do need that. I'm telling you.
I agree with you. Like I said before, the cornerback room is pretty empty. But I will tell you that if they draft Daniel Jones with number 17,
it's a waste.
Not only is it a waste, I just might turn the rest of the draft off because I feel like it's not above the Giants to throw Cutcliffe a bone, and I'm like. This is wrong.
What you can't do. This is what you can't do. Daniel Jones has been I really like him. The problem is he doesn't elevate anything you're doing right now.
No.
Okay, if I'm drafting a quarterback, I'll give you my 7. Forget about Bill Parcells. First thing, you got to be able to make something out of nothing. If you can't do that, I can't use you. Okay, anybody can read the playbook and execute it. I need somebody who can execute a play if the playbook doesn't work.
Okay.
All right? That's why I said if Kyler Murray went out without anybody else on the field and faced 11 guys, like Jason Statham in the Transporter, right? He'd make something happen.
Yeah.
They'd have to catch him, and they probably couldn't. If Eli Manning goes out with nobody in front of him, even if he goes out with 10 other guys, he can't make something happen. Which is true.
It is true.
See, that's the thing you need. And that's why when you mentioned Will Grier before, he can do that.
Yeah, he's a little bit of a gamer, no doubt.
Will Grier is the kind of guy that makes a play. He reminds me, and people say you're crazy, he reminds me of Drew Brees.
Oh, that's an okay.
Drew Brees, the play breaks down. He's got 3-4 checks in his head, and he gets a guy. He makes it happen. He rolls out. He improvises. A lot of quarterbacks don't do that. I think Locke can do that a little bit. I don't think Haskins can do that at all at this point. I think he's going to have a lot of problems adjusting to the NFL. He strictly does not use his legs. He throws with his upper body.
He totally throws with his upper body.
Okay,
He doesn't follow through.
Right. He kind of and Locke wings the ball a little bit too much, like Jeff George, except for he doesn't have as good of an arm.
I don't want to listen. I think Haskins has got a lot of tools. I just wish the kid would stay in school next year because I don't want to see him take bad habits and bring him to the pros, and then he sits on the bench and he never really gets to really work on those bad habits.
Yeah, you're right. He needs more seasoning.
Yeah, well, snaps. I don't care where it is, but he needs snaps because you can't get better at what you're not good at if you're not playing.
I agree.
So I'm okay with as a 1-year starter, he more than surpassed the eye test, right?
Yes.
When you break him down, you realize, okay, he's got all these flaws. Oh, he's not going to have any time to work on them because he's going to go get the keys to somebody's kingdom.
But my contention, he's playing at Ohio State. They've got the cream of the crop around him. Look at the receivers he had. Paris Campbell, McLaurin. I mean, come on. They had he had a team around him, and he had Urban Meyer as coach. I mean, it's Ohio State.
So let me ask you this: if you don't draft a quarterback in the first round, and let's say you get Greer or Locke is not going to make it out of the first round. Where I think Greer will.
If Rosen doesn't get traded, Washington is going to take a quarterback at 15. Miami probably won't take a quarterback because I think they're probably looking to next year because they already got Fitzmagic.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you was, do you think
they're going to ride him?
Would the Giants then, even if they drafted Greer in the second round or something, would they go out and draft a quarterback next year too? Or no?
Maybe. Cincinnati, I think they're number 11. Denver is number 10. They're all looking for a quarterback. So these guys are going to go. Somebody's going to take Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones would be a great game manager for me. He's the kind of guy who goes out there and doesn't make mistakes. He doesn't lose the game for me. But how many games does he win? How many games is he going to win for me?
None.
Okay, but he's not going to lose a lot. So you're looking at a Ryan Tannehill 8-8 kind of guy.
Yes.
That's what you're looking at. You're looking at a middle-of-the-road guy. He's not quite Matthew Stafford. He's not quite Matt Ryan. He's somewhere below that.
No, you can't even put Stafford and Jones in the same sentence. At least Stafford's got a cannon.
Well, but Jones is a more staid player. I think he's a more conservative player who's not going to make mistakes. He can throw the ball.
He's the poor man's Matt Ryan.
Yeah, kind of. He's not going to excite the crowd. Locke, to me, reminds me a little bit too much of Cutler or Jeff George, and that never worked out. It never worked out. They never worked out in the pros.
The analogy of Cutler just cracks me up every time you say it.
Because of the way he throws the ball. He just slings it.
It reminds me of Rivers a little bit, actually.
Yeah, Rivers, is another guy. Everybody says how great he is. What has he won? He hasn't won anything. Alex Smith, what has he won?
No, but listen, Alex Smith went to the playoffs 6 years in a row. I can't kill the guy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Listen, was he the best quarterback in the draft? No, we know Aaron Rodgers was, but I know a lot of people hate on Alex Smith. The guy went to the playoffs with 2 different teams 6 years in a row. I can't kill the guy.
we can't kill the guy. You're right. So we'll take that back. But listen to me. Watch the Jarrett Stidham film. Let me know what you think.
All right, I'll look him up. I'll check him out.
Okay, we got a few minutes left. I know we've been on the air for we've got about 5 minutes left. Okay, let's talk about this one thing. that I wrote about today. It's about the comp picks, compensatory picks for 2020. The Giants, right now, are in line for 4 compensatory picks. Now, I know this is the same guy, overthecap.com, Nick Corte, his name is,
Okay.
that predicted they'd have 2 picks, a 4th and a 5th rounder this year, and they only ended up with a 5th rounder. It's not an exact science, but they've actually lost more players than they signed. So by letting guys like Josh Morrow sign with other teams, Kerry Wynn sign, Mario Edwards, they get a 7th-round pick for each one of those guys.
Okay.
Okay? They're going to get a 3rd-round pick for Landon Collins.
Yes.
Okay, right now that's chiseled in stone. They're getting that. He's an all-pro, and he signed an $84 million contract. And look at the playing time he has behind him. So all of those things factor in on the level of player that they are. Now, they lost Jamon Brown, and who's the other guy I'm thinking of? I can't really think of it.
Let's see.
And they signed Golden Tate and Marcus Golden. Okay,
hang on. Let's see. They re-signed P.O. and Pulley.
No, none of those guys count.
Yeah, I know. I'm going through my head on.
B.W. Webb is the other guy.
Oh, Webb. Okay.
Now, B.W. Webb, he may not, rattle your cage, but he played every game last year. So that's what happened. He's a starter. So you have to be a starter.
He's an okay player.
So he's like a 4th rounder. Brown was like a 4th rounder. And they signed Tate and Golden, and they were like 4th and 6th rounders. So they kind of cancel each other out. So the Giants get the 3rd rounder and 3 7ths. Okay, they already have 8 picks going into the draft. They have their own 7, and they got another 7th from the Eli Apple trade with New Orleans. A lot of people don't remember that they got 2 picks for Apple, not just 1, not just that 4th rounder you see this year, but a 7th rounder next year. So that was Gettleman, kind of chiseling his way, to get another pick there, which was a good thing. So they'll have 5 7th-round picks next year. Okay, so there'll be 12 in all. So they'll have 12 picks again next year. So you want to talk about a build? You got a build going on. Right?
Wow. I'm thinking you give them all away and you draft from, and we go home.
Yeah. Now you got capital to move up. You move up gradually. You take 3 7s, you trade it for a 5. You take that 5 with a 4, you trade it for a 2, and a player or whatever.
There are, regardless of what they do this year, there are 5, 6 decent quarterbacks, great quarterbacks, wherever you want to put them under whatever umbrella you want. If you get Rosen, you get him on the cheap. If you get Greer in the 2nd round, it's on the cheap. There's nothing wrong with going to get one of those stud QBs next year.
Nope.
I'm firmly. I mean, I know it's not the traditional way to do things, but I got no problem with all those extra picks of finding my way to a franchise QB.
If they don't get it this year, they'll get it next year. And Eli's going to end up playing this year anyway. Correct?
Correct. Well, yeah.
So
who's going to put $20 million on the bench?
Yeah, nobody. So, all right. So that's the show for this week, or today anyway.
That's like 2. Listen, people, you just got 2 shows in one.
Yeah, you got an hour and a half of quality information.
The Giants guys rule.
Hey, we're not like some of these other podcasts. People come on and bore the living pants on people.
No.
I try not to anyway.
No, I find this very entertaining.
It could be better. But right now it's the off season, so there's not a lot to talk about.
Oh yeah, listen. During the season, I'm insane.
And they traded Olivier Vernon, so that you really don't have anybody to beat up.
It's funny you say that. I really don't know what I'm going to do this year. Like I have no one.
You'll find somebody, believe me.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I didn't like Olivier Vernon because of his nonchalant, nondescript attitude. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. I think they've kind of pushed those guys out the door. So
yep.
But yeah, we can find something.
Big Dave's big purge.
Yep. Gettleman's master plan.
That's it. All right, folks, that's our show for this week. Craig, why don't you give your website URL out?
nygiantsrush.com. Check it out. Plenty of great content there. I think I might do a Devin White piece today.
Why don't
later
you?
on today. Yeah, well, I got all this information in my head, so I was just going to put it down so I got some proof that I actually did the research.
Okay.
And, of course, at NY Giants Rush on Twitter. More than glad to take your questions. And, if we missed it, if we didn't hit them this week, we'll get them next week.
We got to about 40% of the stuff I have written down here.
Dang.
Yeah. That's why we have to do a daily show.
I know. Well, then someone out there in sponsor land needs to send us some money so we can do this on a regular basis.
That's right. We could go to 2 shows a week. We could cover 2 things, but
yeah, and this could be like the Giants guy brought to you by Colgate.
Yeah.
Or the Giants guy brought to you by Vitamin Water.
Yeah, I got to get my best guy on that.
Seriously, I better actually do something.
All right, folks, we'll see you next week, and let's go Giants.
This is Kyle Rote of the New York Giants, and touchdown.